Welcome back to Kentucky Ancestors. So Elizabeth, we dive back into your family story. So let's take a moment to learn how to search historic records on immigration settlement in early Kentucky with KHS's Head of Library and Archives, Sherry Daniels.
Kentucky has had many waves of immigrants, from before our statehood to the present day. In order to trace an ancestor that was newly arrived, it's important to think about where they came from, the route in which they took to get here, and in which era they settled in Kentucky. Many families chose to travel around the same time as others from their country and took very similar routes to their destination. Consequently, they then settled in areas that had larger populations of similar originating groups. Be on the lookout for clusters of immigrant populations. These areas can have religious centers and newspapers that focus on these groups and contain records unique to the populations you are seeking. Here in the library at the Kentucky Historical Society, we have several books to help you track down those waves of immigrants that eventually arrived in Kentucky. Some reference specific immigrant clusters into Kentucky, while others detail the names of passengers on those ships coming across the Atlantic. And as always, be sure to check with our library reference staff to help point you in the right direction.
So ladies, we mentioned that H. Price McGrath was born in 1814 in Jessamine County to a man named Terrence McGrath, who was born in 1774 in Virginia. Sometime during H. Price's childhood or teenage years, his father moved the family into Woodford County. According to our records, Terrence's father was born in Ireland and later became a Methodist minister. This would place his immigration date somewhere between the 1750s. So this is almost 100 years prior to the arrival of Nora's father, Philip. So during H. Price McGrath's life, it was noted that he was very generous with his money. So Lena, would you please read an excerpt from the newspaper?
Mr. McGrath was very sociable in his temperament and was liked by all who knew him. Although a bachelor, he has raised and cared for a large family of children belonging to his brother.
So it seems that H. Price McGrath helped many family members financially. His will proves this as well, as he split his estate between his nieces, nephews, employees, and sisters-in-law. So just to be sure Nora's family wasn't mentioned in H. Price's family, we paid close attention to his list of nieces and nephews, none of which actually matched the names in Nora's family. In the end, our paper trail alone could not prove a connection between these McGrath families. So we looked at deeds, taxes, local archives, and other records of the area. With no proof except for the same surname and same national origin, we can only imagine that they must be related somewhere. So there's a high likelihood that they were cousins somewhere in the family tree from the Irish origins. But without a document trail to help us, we actually turn next to DNA to look for some clues. So when we come back, we're going to take a closer look at Elizabeth's Irish origins and if the McGrath cousins actually connect.